What's going on, AWC Nation? Kylan Crawford here with an amazing announcement for you. Guess what's happening Wednesday, July 2nd? We are going to be in the building for Wednesday Night Live. We will have Bible study, not just online, but we're going to be in the building live. So we want you to come on out, bring your mom, your dad, your sister, your kids. Come out July 2nd and join us on Wednesday Night Live, July 2nd at 7 p.m. Our homecoming weekend is coming up July 18th, 20th, and the 23rd. So on the 18th is our gala. On Sunday morning, the 19th will be our celebration here in the building. And on the 23rd, we will have a fun day in the park. We'll be enjoying some food, some music, some games, and just some all-around fun. So to know more about that, please go to our website or our app, and you'll find the information there. Some more exciting news for you. The Create Camp donation and car wash is coming up July 12th. It will be from noon to 3 o'clock. For those of you that want to be generous and provide a great experience with donating some items to the Create Camp people, you will have a chance to do that on July 12th at noon. And right after you give to our organization and to this Create Camp, guess what you can do? You can go get your car washed for free as a thank you for you giving to the Create Camp. So we hope to see you there July 12th. Noon to 3, all right? And don't forget, the Create Camp registration is closing in 2 weeks. So if you're interested in being a part of that, please go to our website, sign up for the camp, get your information submitted in. We'd love to have you a part about it. Dang, I said a part about it. We'd love to have you a part of it.
PJ, it's time.
We're live.
Yeah.
Why do you keep doing this to me, bro? Good evening and welcome to Wednesday Night Live. I am your host, Pastor Joshua Williams. I got my co-host with me for tonight, Brandino. What's up, man?
What's
You good?
good?
Hey, you look clean, bro. I'm really excited for tonight for a couple of See? This is no, keep it. We're live. Just hold on. Hello? All right. Please. All right. Say hello to Wednesday Night Live. Hold on. Say hello.
Hey, Wednesday Night Live.
That's it?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Man, bye. Love you.
Well, choose that.
All right. So let's jump right into it. First of all, how you feeling, bro? How's your life?
I'm doing good.
Yeah?
Yeah, no complaints. I'm vibing. Getting ready for Create Camp.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. Create Camp is next week. You all right?
No.
It's in
at the
July.
end. Yeah, it's at the end of July.
Yeah.
Why did I say next week?
I don't know, because I was in my head, I was like, oh, you're on your own. We should probably even have Tina on here. That might even be a good thing to talk about. Because I know that Create Camp is something that our kids always look forward to, but this year's a little bit different because they had to not audition, but like send in a mixtape low key.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway, well, I'm excited. I can't wait for LJ to be big enough to go. Which that's the reason why Vanessa called me, is so that she can come and get our son so that daddy can do some work. So let's just jump right into it. I think that we are in a very interesting time, and I don't want to call the chat. I don't want to call the church chat because I don't want to sound like a streamer for real. That's how it sounds on TikTok and whatnot. But chat, real quick, before we jump into it, before I even get into the word, say hello to somebody that's watching live. I love you. We see you. I'm watching you here on my phone. But make sure that you are communicating with the people in the live. We love to see the feedback. We love to see the communication. Sound is fine. By the way, if you hear anything, we only need one person to communicate it. Last time we did this, Brandon was getting bombarded, and it's all the same message. So we're doing our best. Some stuff comes up out of nowhere, so we do our best to make sure that happens. But I just want to make sure that everybody knows that. So communicate with our folks online. For all of our folks that are serving tonight, that are our moderators, I really appreciate y'all. It makes sure that we have a church that is online. Oh, also another thing, July 2nd, we are back in the building, which I'm extremely excited about. July 2nd will be the first Wednesday back this summer. And then I believe we go full-fledged in August, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You sure? You know scheduling wise better than I do, probably.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's
Okay.
August.
If not, I'm gonna have to ask PK so that we can jump into this. Okay, let's jump into the word for tonight. So I'm gonna give you context for this sermon series. I think that this sermon series is pivotal. Well, not even this just sermon series. This is really like the lifeblood of our ministry here at AWC. Since its foundation, Drs. Martin Linnell made it a point that we wanted, once they heard the kingdom message, that the conversations regarding like purpose and calling and what you're supposed to do and why you were manufactured as a person became the forefront. It became the foundation of our ministry. So for people in our church, they might ask like, wow, it just seems like we talk about purpose and calling all the time. That's what we are. Some churches, they lean into what? Healing ministries. Some churches lean into grace. Other churches lean into worship. We are a church that leans into you figuring out who the heck you are, so that way you can get to work doing the one thing or the things that God has called you to do. And I think the cool thing about this message is that regardless of how many times you have heard it, it literally will meet you in your life, wherever you are. Having this conversation as a 14-year-old, this is totally different than having this conversation as a 32-year-old that's married with a kid and now leading a ministry. So it's gonna be a little bit of back and forth. I flat foot teach. Y'all, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Doing this twice a week sometimes can be a strain, not because I don't love it. I love any and every time I get to be in front of you, or any and every time I get to open up this thing called the Bible. But sometimes it's like teaching the same message twice. And it's like, I've already prepared once. Like, how do I do that? So tonight, we're going to rerun over this Sunday, but I'd like to create some special emphasis on some things. So this is where our first scripture is going to go from. We're going to go from Philippians 4 and 13. Actually, Brandon, can you do like an on-the-fly type of thing?
I could try.
Can you try? All right. Hey, we live, baby. We live. So, okay. Can you go to Philippians 4 and 13 in the Amplified? And while he's doing that, let's get a little bit of context. Sunday, I taught on the potential problem, or the problem with potential. I think I kind of like flirted with both titles. For the longest time, we've heard this concept that each and every person has potential. Each and every person has the ability to do a lot of different things. But there was a point that I talked about on Sunday that I felt like I kind of like rushed over, that I think is going to be extremely important for tonight. We really don't have a title for let's just title it right now. I think the title for tonight is, let's just call it this. You can't do all things. Write that in the chat if you agree. You can't do all things. One of the worst things that I think has ever happened to each and every one of us is people share with us our potential. And I showed you guys the illustration on Sunday with the circle in the middle, which is our calling. And then people start to make opinions and thoughts, and not even just people, but like society or some of the things we talked about earlier, like false success will show you like, hey, just because you did that well, this is what you're supposed to do. We have people that are living a big part of their life, a large part of their life, pursuing something that God is not in, but also that God did not call them to. So we're going to beat this thing into the ground. We're going to beat this horse until this horse can't run anymore, because this is the most important question that every single person will be able to answer, besides the question regarding your relationship with the Lord. So context, Luke 2 and 48, we find Mary, Joseph, and Jesus. They are on their way. They're on their pilgrimage, going to the holy city, and they're there for a couple of days. And then in that time, they leave, and I was supposed to say LJ. Jesus is in the synagogues talking with the teachers. He's talking with the other rabbis. But he's like a literal. We good? No. Philippians 4:13. So Jesus is in the synagogues. He's having these conversations with these scribes and with the rabbis and the teachers. And his mother and father come to him. They ask him, like, hey, what in the world are you doing? Why did you do this to us? Jesus responds back to them. He says, well, you should have known that I would be about my father's business. Like Mary remembered Jesus. Mary should have remembered that she is literally carried and birthed and raising the God man, like God incarnate in a little boy. But the part of the story that is the most interesting to me, and I think it should be the most interesting to you, isn't the fact that Jesus was going toe to toe with men that were 2, 3, 4 times his age. I think what is most important is what we find in Luke 2, Luke 2 and 51. Let's read it. It says, "Then he returned to Nazareth with them and was obedient with them, to them. And his mother stored all these things in her heart." And if we read a little bit further, the Bible tells us in verse 52 that because Jesus was obedient at that moment, Jesus grew in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and with all the people. What happened? We good to go? Okay. So let's not go there yet. I think what is pivotal is that we have to know the difference between what purpose and what calling is. I mentioned this on Sunday, and I think that this is extremely important for any person to understand because since Jesus lived a life that we couldn't live and he died the death that we deserved, he is like the perfect and the pivotal example of how to live on earth in a way that doesn't just glorify him, but also makes it easier on us. Okay, here we go. So in the chat, and maybe we can have a conversation about this, Brandon. What was Jesus' actual purpose, right? What was the reason why Jesus was brought to earth? You can go ahead if you have it.
To absolve our sins.
Right, what else? You said absolve? Come on, bruh. You say absolve?
Yeah.
Big words. He plays video games. He plays video games with a lot of English literatures. I like that. Okay. What else? What was the other reasons? And y'all can write them out too. Let's have a conversation in the chat as well.
To bridge the gap between God and humanity.
Correct. Because we had created, distance was created because of Adam and Eve's original sin, right? What else? I kind of hinted at it. I'm sorry. I'm not going to make you like reach out into the ether. Jesus was born to give us an example of what it meant to be obedient outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay. So since that it was Jesus's purpose was to sacrifice himself on a cross. I mentioned this on Sunday. Jesus' purpose was to be crucified, but you can't crucify a 12-year-old. So when I started reading this, in my heart, I was like, man, that's so literal. So when Jesus goes back to be with his parents, I think he understood that even though I am purposed to be crucified, my current calling, like the thing I should be doing right now, the thing that's right in front of me, the first thing in front of me is to be obedient to my parents. Because if he had been crucified at 12, he wouldn't have been able to fit on the cross. And I think the Bible is so dope if you read it slowly enough. But Jesus had to grow into what he was called. Jesus had to grow into his purpose. And the way in which you grow into your purpose is by fulfilling your calling, which is what is directly in front of you. He was purposed to be on the cross, but in that current moment, he was called to be an obedient son. And I think for all of us, rather than thinking about the grandiose thing like the stage and the platform or being a number one anything, writer or music or author or musician or whatever it is. Like, I think what gets us to that is not so much trying to bite off the biggest part, which is like my purpose and my meaning. It's figuring out my purpose and my meaning comes from God. My purpose is to glorify him. So now what am I called to do? You're always called to do what is right in front of you. And I think for a lot of people, when you can answer that and you realize that it's bite-sized pieces, not just trying to eat the whole burrito called life in one sitting, then you become less, what's the word? You become less, help me out. Less stuck, less frustrated, less confused, less feeling like you are inadequate because my job right now is just to do what's in front of me. I hope that makes sense.
I was going to add okay, so
Words.
Is it when people do feel stuck
Mhm.
or like, what is the word I'm thinking? Like, it's like you don't have a purpose.
Purposeless. I mean, that was really funny. Useless, lost, unplaced, irrelevant.
Yeah, irrelevant. We'll
Unneeded.
go with that.
Okay.
So when they feel that, and they're like, I don't have a purpose, I don't serve a purpose, all that.
Yeah.
It's really a calling issue. You're
Correct.
not focused on what you're called to do.
Correct.
Because it changes.
Correct. Purpose always stays the same. Calling can change from season to season. Case and point. And I love this church, bro, because like the fact that we were literally raised in this, we can have a conversation as a 32 and you're 25 this year, 26, 24. You're not 26.
27.
Oh my God, dude. You're 30 in 3 years? Dude, I remember when you were 9. Okay, we'll be sentimental later. Wow, look at God. Okay, so growing up in this ministry, it's awesome to know that, like, the real biggest part isn't just coming to church on Sundays and Wednesdays. It's having these real conversations about, yes, the scriptures are phenomenal and Jesus is good, but like, what does this actually mean for me? I think that for many people that are watching tonight, and that's you should be sharing the stream right now because I think this is probably the most important conversation and teaching. It might not be like the most sexy, but it's the most important. Brandon mentioned, why am I talking to you in third person? You mentioned that for a lot of people, it's not a purpose issue, it's a calling issue. I agree. Colossians 1:15 says that Christ is the visible image of the invisible God. He existed before anything was created. Then we go down to the end. So it says that everything was created through him and for him. So that means that since God created us, that means that we were created for whatever purpose he created us for, which is to bring him glory. And I think that this created a lot of confusion for a lot of people, especially like in the Y2K era, like 99 to like 2000, when this kingdom conversation was becoming even more popular. Dr. Monroe had been preaching it for forever, but it was becoming more popular while he was traveling the world. People started asking the question, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? And Dr. Monroe would say, my job is just to give you like the literature on how to see the Bible from a different point of view. But I think that we're just now kind of like cracking the code on like what he provided the curriculum for. Please write this down. Everyone's purpose is absolutely the same. The reason why we can say this is because of Colossians 1:15. But if we're going to make it practical, because Jesus used parables, the point of the manufacturer, if I created this this water bottle, even if you use it as like a shovel, if you use this as a bucket, if you use this as a weapon, it might be able to be useful in that way for a period of time. But now you are abusing this because as the creator, my purpose for this, the reason why I created this and the function of what it's for, the way in which you will get the most use out of this is by following my instructions because I created it. Right. So that means that the straw is supposed to be used as a as a sucking apparatus to get the liquid out of here into your mouth. So if you put mud in here, you can't get upset with me and say that, hey, your cup doesn't work because it's abnormal use. You are abusing what I created by using it for a different purpose. So go ahead. You got some?
So if the purpose is to drink
Mm-hmm.
from the bottle,
Mm-hmm.
the calling is either water or juice.
So this is why I don't, I'm going to have to find somebody else. We should switch places. So the purpose is the container. The purpose, we are the container, our purpose, right? So what we are supposed to be and who we're supposed to, who God has called us to be, we're supposed to bring him glory. But we can be filled with the wrong thing, meaning we're trying to do stuff that we're not called to. And I don't know about you. If I fill this with peanut butter, you're not going to be only a
That's
special
a bad
person.
day.
It's going to be a tough day. You're going to be dehydrated, probably going to die of dehydration. If I fill this with Jell-O, if I fill this with sand, we can literally be thinking that we are doing something. And then what happens is, Lord have mercy, this is a great analogy. Then what happens is like with water, look how easy it is to drink water out of this. But if I put sand or something else that's not liquid in here, then I'll end up working really, really hard, even though I feel like I'm doing the right thing. And I think that's the reason why calling is so important for us to begin to dissect. So let's go to the word. Brandon, can you throw that up right quick? Philippians 4:13. A lot of people got this tattooed on them. A lot of people have this as their bio on Instagram and social media. And y'all don't even know what in the world you have on your body permanently or what you have on your bio. So I want to share with you what this is. A lot of people, you read it and it goes, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Cool, great. But the Amplified, I think, gives us the best understanding of this scripture. Let's go to it. Okay. So it says, I can do all things. Now look at how, so the Amplified literally amplifies. Like this microphone amplifies me. Like you can hear me all the way from wherever you're watching. Without this, you wouldn't be able to hear me. It amplifies my voice. So what does it do? It makes it bigger. It stretches it out. It reveals more. That's what the Amplified does. So if you really want like a good read to really understand the nitty gritty, get you an A and P. Okay. So it says, I can do all things which he has called me to do through him who strengthens and empowers me. So this says that it's not enough for God just to strengthen and empower me. People say, God is grateful. God is great. God is good. He's the strongest person. Yeah, but God cannot strengthen you to do stuff he didn't call you to. Okay? So it's not enough that God is strengthening you and empowering you. He's strengthening you and empowering you, verse 13, to do all things that he has called you to. Through him who strengthens and empowers me to fulfill his purpose. So God strengthens you and empowers you to do all the things that he has called you to, not so that you get the glory, but so that his purpose is the one that is fulfilled. Let's read the last part. I am self-sufficient in Christ's sufficiency. I am ready for anything and equal to anything through him who infuses me with inner strength and confident peace. I think we have to really dissect and separate that your calling will not be able to be done in your own strength. And the reason why a lot of people are stuck and they're frustrated and they're tired, and by the time that they finally figure it out, they don't have any more energy, is because when you're outside of calling, you are literally reliant on your own strength and your own ability. Now, I want to really break this down for every person that's watching, because I know that there are people that are hearing this message for the first time. There are people that are hearing this message for the 50th time. I don't really think that it would be beneficial for those of us that have heard this a couple times just to pass this off or turn off the TV, because I've already heard this before. Because calling, as Brandon was talking about earlier, calling changes from season to season. Remember, in that season, Jesus' purpose remained the same for his entire life. Jesus was born to die for us, right? Cool. But his current calling was to be an obedient son. Then when he was working with his father, because his father was a carpenter, he probably learned the trade. So then his calling was probably to go and get the wood and to learn the trade of carpentry. Then he probably had to, in all this time, he learned manners. He learned the human disposition. He learned what sin was. He learned what the human struggle was. So at 12, Jesus could have been crucified, but at 33, Jesus being crucified at 33 wasn't just age, but there was maturity. There was understanding. He actually understood the reason and the why for why it was necessary for him to give his life. So here it is. This is point number 5 on Sunday, but I think this is going to be the most important point that we kind of talk about right now. Actually, Brandon, where are we at on time so I can kind of gauge? 20 minutes? Hey, man, we're making pretty good time. Run it.
I want to go back to the bottle
Okay.
analogy. So I think that's what I was relating it more to. You being called at different. So when you put sand in your water bottle.
Yeah.
That's working outside of its purpose.
Correct.
But if you put water
Right.
in the water bottle.
Right.
That's purpose.
Correct.
I mean, that's calling. But then you put juice, that's a different calling for a different time.
But it still works.
But it still works.
Correct.
Because
Milk.
you're still within purpose.
Works. I don't know who's drinking this much chocolate milk, but
That's a rough day.
It's a rough day.
That's a rough day if
Yeah.
you're drinking that much chocolate milk.
and a lot of us were working way too hard.
Yeah.
We're working way too hard. If somebody was drinking sand or drinking mud or snot through that thing, you'd be like, first of all, why? But then second of all, you're working so much harder when if you just follow the instructions, life could go so much easier. That's a message for somebody that's watching tonight. Here is the point that I think is going to be the bedrock and the foundation of what we talk about for tonight. Y'all ready? If you're ready, put a 1 in the chat. If you're ready, right slap in the chat. Wake up your neighbor. I tell y'all to high five people here in the building, but we're online. Okay, here it is. Here's the point. You can't do all things. You can only do assigned things. Our job after we give our lives to Christ is to figure out what our assignment is. Sunday, I gave you a list, and I'd like to break them down. Let me see how. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, sorry, dyslexic moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I gave you 12 things of what calling could look like, and there's a million of them. But these are the 12 that God gave me, not just for Sunday, but these are the 12 that God gave me personally when I was trying to figure out, okay, there are a bunch of things that I can do. I'm pretty gifted to do a bunch of different things. I know that I'm interested in doing something that has to do with either creativity or with helping people answer and solve their problems. It's probably going to be done with leadership. So there, I was able to eliminate. Probably not going to be a marine biologist. Probably not going to be an astronaut because I don't want to be away from my family if I end up getting married and having kids. This is when I was younger. So based off of what you know you're called to, it helps you eliminate the stuff that would create a lot of distraction for you. So I would like to go through each and every one of these. Okay. Um, okay, so calling could look like, and if you have kids, if you have somebody that you know that's like feels like they're aloof, that they're kind of like suspended in gravity, they don't know which way is up or down, like they're just like floating through life, rolling through the punches. If you are, I can speak on this one. If you just recently had like a major transition and now you don't know which way is up and down. I remember when we were pregnant with LJ, we were so grateful because we had been waiting for so long. We got pregnant with LJ, then we had him. I remember we were sitting on the couch, and he was maybe like 2 or 3 months, and like he was crying, and not like anything ridiculous, because I know there are some parents. God bless. Let's clap it up for all you parents, man, that had like a child with colic, or a child that needed to make more hospital visits. And there's a bunch of stuff in there. If it applies, you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to go specifics, but man, I just every parent, I think, is dealing with a certain level of difficulty. Some are dealing with a totally different level. But anyway, I digress. He was crying, and I remember we like put him down, and he had finally fallen asleep. And me and Vanessa looked at each other, and we were like, "Did we make a mistake? Like, we love him, but like, what in the world is going on?" I remember in that season, like I knew that I was still pastoring. I was trying to be the best husband that I could. I was trying to be a good father, but like in that season, it seemed like the world was like cloudy and foggy, not gray, but like we just trying to figure out and get a coherent thought was really difficult. And in that moment, these same questions were the ones that I asked myself at 30. The same questions at 30 I asked at 18 and 17. So I'm trying to tell any person right now that's like in transition, or like you feel like you're in a season of life, like you just went through like a major breakup, or you lost your job, or you were laid off, or you had a recent passing in the family that was like pivotal, or if you've been married for so long and like you have a couple of kids now, and now it's just like, what in the world, where the heck are we going? These questions can help like relight the fire or the spark, or they can give you a totally new spark, because your purpose is still the same, to bring glory to God, but you might be called to do that in a different way right now. I felt like that was a lot. Prayerfully, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, what could calling look like for you? Okay. Calling, and this is the first one, and not that these are in any type of order, but I think that calling can look like what you do abnormally well. Now, remember what I said before, though. Calling isn't all, I said this Sunday, calling isn't always what you see as what you do successfully. But sometimes we can find what we do. I'm sorry, sometimes we can find what God has called us to do because we do it really, really well. And number two, calling can look like what we do abnormally well, but calling can also look like what we do with minimal effort. I'm gonna brag on Brandon just for a second because he's right in front of me. So Brandon, we were talking about this. Brandon, you remember how you talked about yesterday? Actually, no. Let's do this. Give us like your origin story on how like you started doing all of this. And y'all can't see it, but like camera, lighting, because you mentioned yesterday you've only had two jobs, this and Walmart, right? And now I don't know if y'all know this. Brandon's a part of a podcast. Him and his girlfriend Maddie, Comfort Level. It's like it's definitely different than what we do here. Definitely different, but like they are fulfilling calling because two things: y'all do it abnormally well, and it takes minimal effort. A lot of people, you guys are literally just talking as friends, like, and people are sitting in your stories. But how did you know that you were really good at this?
Well, first of all, Sam's a part of it too.
Oh yeah, Sam too. Yeah, I'm sorry, but Maddie started it, but then it's you, Sam, a
Yeah.
couple other people from the church are on. I've seen like Josh on it. I've seen Jazz.
Yeah.
Anyway, Joe.
Origin story. It's funny because it started here. Like all the creative stuff I've done, it's literally started here. Well, like I always did like skits
Yeah.
on like Snapchat when you could like record like 1 minute videos.
Vine.
I always used to do that stuff.
Yeah.
But I remember I was serving in AWC Kids,
Mhm.
and you had talked to me about potentially helping Maddie with photography.
Yeah.
And from there, it was just because there was one day I didn't necessarily know what I was doing, and then I kind of figured out what I was doing,
Yeah.
and I was like really good at it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
I was like, I've never known I could do this type of stuff that easily. But then I became a nerd about it, and that's when it became a problem. And I actually started educating myself, and then I went to school for it.
I'm adding that in, bro. That's good. Keep going.
I went to school for it, and then yeah, it was just it started off with photography, then I started getting into videography, and then you actually got me into editing as well because I'll never forget the first day we edited anything was Martin Luther King Day.
Really? I don't
Yeah,
remember that.
we were in the chapel in that little back room,
Okay.
and I had never seen editing software before then.
I was probably on what? Final Cut, or what was I on?
Final Cut. It
Good
was
old
just like-
Final Cut.
At first, when I was sitting there watching, I was like, "Why is he doing this so often?" Like he's like playing, going back, and then I was like, I want to try it, and then yeah, it was history.
Right.
After that, I was like completely into this creative stuff.
So would you say that that a part of your calling was also like curiosity
Yeah,
in a way?
yeah, I could
Because
say
you
that.
said something, and we have two so far. You know, your calling can look like what you do abnormally well. Your calling can look like what you do with minimal effort. And after you said what you just said, I had to add another one. Your calling, everyone, please listen to this. Your calling can also look like what you have a sick obsession about. And when I say sick obsession, I think that God calls us to stuff, but he also will prefabricate on the inside of us like these crazy interests that go really, really, really deep. That's why I think you should try as much as you can. Deja, right now is really cool. It's cool watching her on TikTok. So Deja, a lot of people can think that people are mousy. They can think that they are reclusive, but you put Deja in front of her phone. Is it her phone that she uses? You put her in front of her phone and you give her a weird type of food. I follow her on TikTok, and like the version that you see here at church, she's totally a different person because like there's like this sickening. She's like sickeningly like obsessed with finding new food here in Omaha. Not gonna lie, I found some of my favorite spots because I've watched her, and I think that that's what people are drawn to. People are drawn to like the sicken, like it's like a sick work ethic. Like you're up the first thing in the morning. It's the first thing you think about. Like you probably can't even go to sleep because you're thinking about it all night. Like it's everything is connected to it, and you're obsessed. I think that's what calling can look like too. As long as having an addiction and being obsessed with something is not a problem if it's within purpose and it brings God glory. Now the opposite end, we get into some really yucky stuff that can change your chemical makeup and like your mental makeup, and that's a really dark road that we don't want to go down. But right now, LJ is like obsessed with drums, right? So as his parents, Vanessa's always trying to help me out because like he'll take anything. If he can find 2 stick looking whatever, he'll beat on the wall, on you, on chairs, on glass, on mirrors, on the floor, on himself. And it was so interesting that like at first, there was one moment where he started doing this. It was cute, but then he started finding what's like the loudest piece of something that I can like beat on. This man took two spoons and he opened up the oven. First of all, I was like, I didn't know that you could open up the oven, and like we cook stuff at the house. I'm just grateful that he's never opened it and like, because that would be terrible. But he opened up the oven. It was not on. He pulled out the rack and started beating on the rack, and it was loud as heck, right? So then I walked over to him and I was like, "Oh my God!" It was just one of those moments. I was overstimulated. Not gonna lie, I think I'm a phenomenal dad. That day, I was not. Really frustrated and tired. So I grabbed the sticks and I was like, "Bro, like just give Daddy like 5 minutes." And my wife walked in. She says, "Okay, is what he is doing?" Oh, how did she say it? Because it was literally burned in my mind. Oh, she said, "Is what he's doing more of is it more of a problem or is it actually just an inconvenience?" And when she said that, I was like, wow, it's not a problem. He's just bothering me because I'm tired. I should have went to bed the night before earlier. I shouldn't have been on the game early, so late. I should have went to the gym. I probably should have taken a nap today. So like, it's not that it is a problem. It's just inconvenient to me because I would never want to crush what God has planted in him because however long from now, he might be a phenomenal world-renowned drummer, but I could literally, I could crush my son's calling by I could crush my son's calling by saying that it's inconvenient to be obsessed with what he's obsessed with. So what are we doing? He doesn't know it yet. His birthday's coming up, but we got him a drum set. We've literally planned on getting him a drum set for church, one for our house, one for one for my parents' house. My dad got a drum set. So rather than saying that it's an inconvenience, let's put what he is obsessed with in a container. So that way it's reverberating. That's all he sees. Because if that is what he's obsessed with currently, my job as his father is to give him the environment to like make that all that he sees. And I'm cool with celebrating it because my parents did that with me. I talked all the time. I can literally talk for hours. And I think it's because when other teachers wanted to like send me to get like a script from a doctor to be put on drugs or whatever. Somebody there? Who's that? Hey, it's Dr. Mark. What's up, man? We are. Speaking of, see you later. Speaking of, so talking about like my parents refused to have me medicated, Adderall, all the different things. And now because they didn't crush my obsession, now my obsession allows me to feed my family. My obsession allows me to give my gift to the world. So I think that not just as parents, if you were in a position where you are over people, young people, older people, regardless, if people come to you and you're a disciple maker, our job is to figure out what do these people do abnormally well? What do they do with minimal effort? What do they do that they have a sickening obsession with? And try to figure out how do we build a container around it to protect it. So that way, when God calls their number, they at least know that somebody supported them and they weren't annoyed about what God called them to. Man,
I got another one.
run it.
I think.
You're adding to the list?
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, go ahead. I just want to make sure. I'm trying to give them like for our title afterwards because we always try to figure out what we call this. So it's gonna be like the 15 things that you're called to or something like that.
Yeah. I would also say being able to add it onto other people's life, like the knowledge that you have, the knowledge that you accumulate.
Yeah.
Bring it to other people, because when you're bringing up Deja, I remember she had reached out to me. It was like what's a good mic to have? And I was like, well, I've really been rocking with this, but also been rocking with this, but this is a good mic too. But I would say this one. Sure enough, that little patch, I was like, oh yeah, I've worked with that a lot. And it's like, I was so in it that I was able to do research, figure out why I like that over other mics. And I was able to give it to her without her having to go like YouTube
Or
other people.
buy 6 of them
Yeah, and figure it
and
out.
then send them back
Mm-hmm.
and then find one and then like it just because this is okay. You ready?
Yeah.
The reason why I believe that we are called to certain things, all of you that are watching online, is so that we cannot be gatekeepers of what took us a long time. We can literally cut down a person's development by sharing. And I think that the reason why a lot of people gatekeep, I mean, I'm going to gatekeep clothing because where'd you get that shirt? I'm tired of telling y'all, no. Another thing I'm sorry, I'm going on a hiatus for a second. I can't stand like when you share with somebody something and they don't even use the information you gave them. That's one of the reasons why we gatekeep at times. But I think that like you could have just said, oh, you could have given her a bad review. You could have told her, no, you got to get out the mud like I did. But if we want to see the kingdom advance, I think that we don't need to gatekeep. So you know that you're called to something when giving people information doesn't feel like you're losing. Like, you know that you're called to something when, hey, how'd you do this? Oh, X, Y, and Z. Because even by giving you this information doesn't mean you're going to beat me because I'm in my own lane, you know? Like when people ask me I write sermons for people and I've, friends of mine, like I've literally helped them like come up with stuff that they didn't come up with and they've taught it. And I don't feel a way when they don't say, I got this from Josh because I know that since God gives me fresh ideas all the time, I can let this one go. A lot of people, they get so frustrated. Like, this is the only good idea I'm ever going to have in my life. So like, no, what camera do you use? What mic do you use?
Quit hoarding the ideas.
Huh?
Quit hoarding the ideas.
Right. Because when you hoard them, God stops giving them. And Too much is given, much is required. Okay, so what you do, so calling can look like what you have some? Okay, calling can look like what you do abnormally well. Calling can look like what you do with minimal effort. Calling can do calling can look like what you have a sickening obsession over. Four was what was yours? Calling can look like what you do that what helps other people or something like that. I might not want to put words in your mouth. I was just trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Calling can also look like. Please listen to this, y'all. Number 5. Calling can look like what you need absolutely no motivation to begin doing. Okay, if people have to set your alarm, they have to wake you up, tell you to brush your teeth, tell you to get dressed, tell you to eat breakfast, tell you to floss, tell you to put deodorant on, tell you to get in the shower, tell you to get dressed to go to work. And then when you get to work, people have to remind you of your job, like you're dragging your feet, you have a headache, like you're not called. And I think one of the biggest issues with jobs, because everybody needs some type of way to provide for their families. One of the issues with jobs is the money aspect. So people will literally drag their feet in something, beat their head on the wall, doing something that they're not called to, that causes them anxiety and depression and frustration because there's a bag that is connected. But I'm just letting you know that your soul is priceless and there is no amount of money that will ever make anybody happy doing something that they cannot stand for a long period of time. Trust me. Brandon worked at Walmart. I worked as okay, if I say that, it's going to give it away. No, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to tell the truth. So I was hired and the money was absolutely crazy. I was hired for a education system here, and that could be higher ed, that could be high school, that could be middle school. I'm just going to leave it at that. But my job was to be a recruiter. That kind of gives it away. I was a recruiter for a field and an industry I legitimately had no interest in. I'm gonna be honest. I was working in like recruiting people for trades jobs like HVAC. They can get their journeyman as an electrician, CDL, all like and like the money was great, but like they would have me driving to like podunk towns here in Omaha. Not to say that those people aren't deserving, but I was not the guy. I put so many miles on my Kia Optima. God, I missed that car. I put so many miles on that Optima, like driving here, there, everywhere, Lincoln. I've never been to Shattering. Like you can drive like for hours in Omaha. I mean, in Nebraska and still be in the state. Wahoo, Alliance, like talking to these kids in these country towns. Firstly, I was the darkest thing out there. Sometimes I had to get a hotel because I'd be out there all day and it'd be too dark and I have to drive home the next day. But like there was one day where I was like, yo, I am not called to do this. You know how hard it was for me to get up every day to get out there? How much of a headache it was, like when there was an inconvenience. And now being in what I'm doing now, church work, there's a lot of bumps in the road. There are a lot of days where I know that like if it wasn't for God's grace, I would have like, drove my head through a wall. But I don't have to be motivated to do this work. I don't have to be motivated to open up this Bible. I don't have to be motivated to sit in these meetings with people and to help spiritually counsel people. I don't have to be motivated to disciple people. Are there days where I'm tired? For sure. But like I would much rather sit in a room for 17 hours a day helping people work through stuff than driving for an hour and a half or 3 hours to go somewhere to sell a product that I don't even believe in. And I think that for many of you that are watching tonight, the one way that you can tell that you're not called is that it takes so much energy and it takes so much from other people to get you to buy in on the thing. Because if you were called, I'm not saying that you wouldn't have a lack of motivation, but you wouldn't have to fabricate it. So you know that you're called when you're able to do it without motivation. Next, got anything? Next, you know that you're called when calling can look like what only you can see. I don't know if you've ever seen it. You have to have. If you've seen like these great innovators and people that have created great things like Amazon or even Walmart or I don't understand why they still do this, but Dippin' Dots says that they're the ice cream of the future. They've been around for 20 years. It's and Dippin' Dots is nasty. Trash.
Disagree. Hard disagree.
You like it still?
Dippin' Dots is 5.
Okay, I'm gonna let you have it then. I'm gonna give you some Dippin' Dots. Then, if you only could eat Dippin' Dots, that's your only version of ice cream. Would you do it?
Heck no.
That's
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Man, that's like apples to rocks. That's not even the same. Um, but uh, you know that you're called when sometimes like you're the only one that sees it. If you're walking down the street and you see somebody, I remember as a kid, I used to see the homeless, and like there was a time like when my parents would, like pick people up and like take them to the Sienna Francis house or take them to the Lydia house, and which are two homeless shelters here in Omaha for men and women, or to the Salvation Army if they were a family. Excuse me. And I remember as a kid, like anytime I'd see somebody homeless, I would like boo hoo cry. It would get so bad, like whenever I saw somebody walking, I just assumed that they were homeless. And at first, I thought that that was like what my calling was. I'm like, man, like I need to figure something out how to do this. I was only like 11 or 12, but now personally, what I see that other people's don't always see is that I really have a heart for the lost. I really have a heart for those that don't know Jesus. And some people, their calling is to teach the message to people that are already in the faith. But that's not me. I see it happens all the time. Whenever I'm in church, whenever I am out, whenever I'm anywhere, you've probably been with me when this happens. I always end up witnessing to somebody who's either down on their luck, they gave up on Christ, they've been far away from God, or they've never heard about him, because that's what I see. I see that when other people don't see it. It's like a quirk. Oh no, I'm not gonna go there because not everybody watches anime. But it's the thing that I see that other people real quick, right there in the chat, right? Like literally, like write it out. Write out what you see that other people don't. Brandon, what about you? Oh, I know one thing that you see, lighting. We talk about it all the time. Like how lighting, you create like these emotions through colors, and even the lighting like right now. Like you mentioned, like it's not just putting a light in front of a person to light the object. There's backlighting, there's forelighting and all the things.
Yeah, yeah. And lighting tells a story. It sets the tone. So like I did it in my documentary. Like there's
Which
no
one?
normal.
The cruise one?
Yeah, there's no normal lighting in that documentary. It's all colorful,
Right.
but it conveys different emotions. But I think my biggest calling is telling stories.
And that's awesome because you can tell a story and work for a university. You can tell stories and work for a pamper company. You can tell stories and work for yourself. You could be freelance. Like telling stories is what I do. It's what I'm called to do. So you can tell stories in any way, in any fashion.
Yeah, and it's just it's freeing too because if I don't tell if I tell someone else's story that wasn't thinking that their story was worth telling, it it opens up their mind and their ideas to just a different side of life. I just
And you
I
also
really
see
like
it from a a perspective. No,
perspective.
thank you. You see it from a perspective that they can't see it from.
Yeah.
No one can see life from your perspective. We can only hope to understand it based off of how you describe it, but I cannot be in your shoes. I can't
Mhm.
be in your body. I even if I was able to get inside of your body, like I don't have your mind, your soul, your will, your emotions. I don't know. I cannot be Brandon. I can only be Joshua.
Yeah. And it's crazy because at one point I want to do travel documentaries, like so bad, like not even
Here I am in
in the
Aruba,
States,
whatever.
completely different countries.
Yeah.
I That's always fascinated me.
Hmm.
And like if you look on my YouTube channel, like if you go on my For You page, it's literally like travel documentary, some self help, some video game, travel documentary,
Yeah.
and they're all cinematic, and that's where I really want to go
Yeah.
next. I don't know how that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I don't know when it's gonna happen,
Right.
but I know that's one calling I have in my life.
And talking about calling and like the things that only you can see, you don't really realize how necessary something is until you need it. So like on TikTok, I started just by listening to music, and like I tried to find all the people that were on Vine before. And like it was just ha ha ha, whatever. Like that's all my TikTok was. My For You page was just that. But now that like we're in a house that like we can do a lot of stuff in, all my TikTok is people who do DIYs. Years ago, I was like, I would never do a DIY. Once I get enough money, I'm just gonna buy this. I'm gonna buy a fire pit. I'm gonna buy some chairs. I'm gonna buy. But now, like all that stuff that was irrelevant then, now because somebody had like a sickening obsession with it, like now, and that was all they saw. Like there are people on TikTok that all they do is Legos. I love Legos, but they like are obsessed with them. But their calling and what they're obsessed with, it was weird before, but now it's literally lucrative for them now. So for anybody that's watching tonight, I want you to see that it is viable, that like maybe the thing that you see that nobody else sees, if you give it enough time, it will become something that is important to other people. Because now, even on TikTok now, like I don't have as much haha funny stuff or sports or even music. Well, music always. But now I'm like, I was talking to you about it. Like, I really want a pool in our backyard, but I really don't want to spend a bunch. We don't even have we ain't got like just 75 grand sitting around to put a pool in the ground and filtration and all that other stuff. But people are doing like these cowboy pools. And it's so funny. I put in cowboy pool. And now, because I looked at one video, now I'm seeing all these creators that show me how to do the same thing. So a lot of you, you know that you're called. I'm not adding to the list, but another reason why you need to find your calling is so that you can find your niche and you can find other people that are obsessed with what you are obsessed with, because it seems like you're a minority because you're not in the right space. Some of you sell real estate and you're trying to talk to your friends that don't care about properties and realty, and it's like you feel like you're the odd man out. But if you find your tribe and your people, there are other people who also see what you see. And I think that's important. If you're around people that don't see what you see, you can feel odd. But once you make the decision to see what you see and to be around other people and you find that tribe of people that see what you see, then it's absolutely phenomenal. Okay, next. Calling can look like what people repeatedly ask you to do. We talked about that before. If you do something really, really well and you do it with minimal effort, a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to do that. But you're like an awesome quilt maker. I don't want to do that. Like, that's easy money. Yeah, it's free chicken. What are you talking about? Like, that's barbecue chicken. Like, look, what? Go and get your bag, because if people are asking you to do it and you do it abnormally well, not saying you have to quit your 9 to 5, but your 5 until could be extremely lucrative for you and your family. And most importantly, it brings glory to God. And secondly, it fulfills something in other people. Where are we at on time? We have 45 yet? 50? See? Time flies when you're having fun. Let me pick just a couple of these. Okay. Let me go through them one more time because yeah, y'all asked. Okay. What you do abnormally well, what you do with minimal effort, what you do, calling can look like what you have a sickening obsession about, what you have an obsession about. Brandon mentioned calling can look like what you do that helps other people. It can be what you do without motivation, what you do that only you can see, what you do, what others repeatedly ask you to do, what you do regardless of recognition. If you have to be recognized and you have to have people see you doing it, that's not just, I'm not saying that you're not called, but that's definitely a pride issue. Like if people have to know, like one of my obsessions is being extremely generous. I love giving stuff away. But one thing that you will not find me doing is like if I gave Brandon a pair of shoes and we're around people, you will never find me being like, "Hey, it's nice shoes, Brandon." Like looking for him to be like, "Yeah, bro, thanks for the shoes." Number one, that's just pathetic. Number two, like that's so weird. Like why? Like then why did you give them? Why did you give them to this person or give them to that person if you had to be recognized for giving them? That's just weird. Um, Calling can look like what you do and you end up having endless energy for. It gives under people freedom. It breaks people's hearts. Let's end here. Um, Calling can look like what you do that requires God's help. I want to talk just for a couple of seconds to the people who you have a really great opportunity or you have, oh my goodness. Oh, tired. Um, you might have gotten an opportunity. You might have gotten like a word from a friend, or that there's an opportunity like, hey, bro, it's popping off over here at XYZ city or at XYZ job. I I believe that there are times where it's necessary to drop all things and to chase the rainbow, and hopefully you find the pot of gold at the end. I think that it can, and it has been definitely, it can be and probably is God for some people to uproot and to go other places and to do other things. But I think that what we really have to focus on is the why. Because if God is calling you to do something, or to go somewhere, it's not always just going to be that you agree. The people that are in your tribe, the people that you love, there should be some type of agreement. Nobody ever wants to see somebody that they love go to another place. Um, because we love you. But I think that one of the ways that you know if you are called to do this thing is that number one, if it seems impossible without God, and also if it requires God's help. So maybe that's how we close. Maybe that's how we close. It doesn't matter how creative you are, it doesn't matter how gifted you are. If you have the ability to do it without God's help or without the need to ask God for help, I would almost say that it can't be God. When we look at Jesus and we look at Luke 2, the Bible says that Jesus is in the synagogues, right? His mother and father come and ask for him. They ask him, bro, why are you here? Like, what did you do? Why are you doing this to us? Jesus says, I must be about my father's business. But then Jesus becomes obedient, realizes, yes, he's purposed to die on the cross. But in this moment, he's called to be an obedient son. Cool. Regurgitating that again. So that way it's kind of like stuck in your mind. But do you not think that Jesus going to be with his mother and his father, do you not think that it required help from God? 18 years is a long time. You don't think that when Jesus was 19 or 20 or 30 or even 28, that you don't think that he needed God's help to be patient? You don't think that he needed God's help to understand the human condition? You don't think that he needed God's help in order to have grace for them and at the time? Like Jesus knowing that I'm about to die for people. I'm literally about to be tortured, beaten and bruised for people that I know that won't even receive me. You don't think that? Thank you, Holy Spirit. Hold on. We gotta, let me look it up. Brandon, can you do me a favor? Gotta make sure Vanessa's good. Okay. Let's go to Luke 2. No. Luke 22. Yeah, I think it's Luke 22. Yeah. Luke 22. 22 and he walked away about 22 and 39. So Jesus goes to pray at the Mount of Olives, and he is about to be betrayed by Judas in the next part. And then Peter ends up denying him. But look at what Jesus says. Remember, Jesus' purpose is to die on the cross for all of us, right? But in this moment, we see Jesus at 33. Remember, it's the same thing. Jesus at 33, even though he is purposed to die and his current calling is to be obedient, he still needs help with what he's called to do. Because remember, he's all God, he's all man, which means that he was God, but he was also flesh, which means that our flesh is imperfect, our flesh is sinful. He was not sinful. He was tempted with sin. But look what Jesus says. Jesus says, then accompanied by the disciples, Jesus left. This is at 39. 39 of the New Living Testament. You there? Waiting. What do we do? What do we do? I'm going to go 39 to 44. New Living Testament, please. Yep. How y'all doing? You all right? We good? Hope we're good. I hope we're good because I think we might be in the sermon series for real almost until like Christmas because this, maybe not that long, but, Yep, NLT. Yep, 39 through 44. You get me? And also, can you do me a favor? Is it in red? Okay, up top, you'll see like the little, up at the very top, you'll see like a little settings button. We live, baby. Come on, y'all. Y'all stay with us. Go to the top. There's a settings there. Click on it. You see it? Does it say red letter? Click it. Did it turn them red? Okay. So that way you know when Jesus is speaking. This is Bible Gateway. I love this. Right? Is that Bible Gateway? Okay. I love that website and that app. It's phenomenal. Good to go? Okay, let's run it. So verse 39 says, then accompanied by the disciples, Jesus left the upstairs room and went as usual to the Mount of Olives. Remember, as usual, which means that he had been going here to pray for a while, but we're about to make an account. There he told them, because he knows he's about to be he's about to be not just crucified, but he's about to be beaten and tortured and betrayed by Judas. Jesus says, pray that you will not give in to temptations. He brings the disciples with him and asks them just to go with him and not to fall asleep. Then he walked away about a stone's throw and knelt down and prayed, Father, if you are willing, please take this cup of suffering away from me. Yet I want your will to be done, not mine. Then an angel from heaven appeared and strengthened him. He prayed more fervently, and he was in such agony of spirit that his sweat fell to the ground like great drops of blood. You know that you are called and that you're doing the right thing sometimes when it feels like you want to quit. You know that you're called when you want to quit, and God won't let you. If you feel like you want to quit and God doesn't say anything, it's time to get up out of there. But when there is like a fear and trembling, like when there is like oh, don't do that, Brandon. Oh, you got me. But when you feel like you want to quit, God won't let you quit, and he keeps giving you strength to endure, you're definitely called. Jesus in perfection, called to die for us, called to give his life for us, still needed God's help in order to endure it. And one way that I know that you're called, the ultimate way that I know that you're called, that you should know that you're called, is when you can't quit. Yeah, let's add that in there. That's a good one. I might write a book about this, man. This is good stuff. You know that you're called when you can't quit. When it's like, I'm trying, I don't want to do this anymore, but I can't quit. I told the story a little bit about how I dealt with anxiety and depression, and it was like debilitating. I'd literally be up on stage, couldn't breathe. I'd be sitting with family and friends watching a movie, and then all of a sudden, like a legitimate anxiety or panic attack would come out of nowhere. And the thing that really set me free after that was I can't run from this calling. I can't run from what God is putting on me. And not like I was really running. I think I was still trying to figure out what the heck I wanted to do and who I was. But once I accepted what God wanted for me, and I also got some help, some therapeutic help, some counseling help, some clinical help, mind you, a lot of that pain and frustration and timidness began to subside because I was called. And I realized, okay, if I can't, quitting and running away from what God wants me to do is going to ensure that I suffer. I'm just going to follow it. And that's why I guess, yeah, that's how we're going to end. I want to ask that some people that are watching tonight, that you would just answer the call that God has given you. For some of you, you are called to be a husband and a wife. For many of you, you're called to be a father and a mother. For many of you, you might be called just to be a really great friend. For some of you, you might be called to start the business or to go to school. Some of you, you got an application for school right now in your Dropbox or on your desktop, and all you literally have to do is just click send. And I am just telling you that if God is calling you, that he would give you courage. So that's what we're going to pray for. That's how we're going to close tonight. That's how we're going to do it. Brandon, what do you think? You out? You done? You good? You got anything? Nothing? Yeah, I think it was good too. I love you all. Church starts on Sunday. Hey, baptisms. Well, they close tonight at midnight. If you want to be baptized on Sunday, they close tonight on tonight at midnight. If you don't get it in, you will be left out. Well, no, we might do like spontaneous. Oh, that'd be dope. We might do spontaneous, but you just won't have like all of the fanfare. Yeah, you got it. You got to get in there tonight, midnight. Tell him, Brandon, midnight. Yell at him. Tell him, bro.
Midnight.
Tell him, bro. Midnight.
Midnight.
Fill out the form because you will be left behind. No, you'll be able to jump in the pool. It's outside. Oh yeah, shameless plug. We got food trucks. We got bounce houses. We got ice, like a shaved ice. from some of the kids that are here at AWC. They have a small business. We're gonna have yard games. It's gonna be a massive celebration. Worship in the Word in the sanctuary. Outside, we're gonna do these baptisms. Prayerfully, it's a little bit cooler, but we're gonna have ways to cool you down. It's gonna be a time in the sun and with the people of God. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But let me pray for you. Drop some ones in the chat. Say hello to the people that are around you. I'm so grateful to be a part of this culture, that I get to pastor a church I would actually want to go to if I wasn't the pastor. And we get to knock this out. Probably gonna do part 2 on Sunday. It'll be a little bit of an expedited sermon, but yeah, let's run it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Let's pray. Spirit of the living God, we're so grateful for you. We're so grateful for who you are and what you're doing in our lives. God, I want to pray specifically tonight for the person that might be timid or scared or frustrated, that feels like they are at the end of their rope, the person that feels like they are in the valley of indecision, but also the person that's literally in the grips of fear, that's afraid to start, afraid to stop, afraid to do what you've called them to do. God, tonight I pray that you would give them peace, that you would also give them rest in this season, but most importantly, God, that you would give them you. Just like Jesus prayed in Luke 22, God, if there's any other way that you would take this cup away from me, he says that your will be done, but not my own. I pray that somebody would have the boldness to pray that tonight. But when they pray that the gift that they get would not just be boldness and clarity and peace, but that the gift that you would give them is your presence, that you would actually be with them, like you said, that you would be with Joshua and Moses and Daniel and Ruth and Rebecca, all the people in the Bible, that the real gift of what you did was not what you did through them. It's you being on the inside of them. So God, we just ask that you would be with us, that you would give somebody the courage to start and to literally just hear your voice. And God, that we would know that we won when we were obedient, not when we started. Our obedience is where we win. That's the first medal and the first trophy. God, we ask that you would bless the people that are watching tonight, whoever's watching this by rebroadcast, or if they're watching this live right now. God, that you would cover them, that you would keep them, and most importantly, God, that you would uphold them and uplift them in Jesus' name. Amen. I love you all. I appreciate you. Brandon, I appreciate you. Yeah, man, I love you too. Next Wednesday, we end the building. You don't have much time. Y'all, you don't have much time. Midnight, baptism closes, and we can't wait to see you on Sunday. God bless you all.